swing and a drive. Right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawly Jean.
You are listening to the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network. Don't forget to listen, download, subscribe, and most importantly, review our podcast. You can find me at Crawly's Cubs on X, Blue Sky, and TikTok, and Crawly's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads. You can email us at crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com. I am excited to have on the show our good friend Noah Hiles of the Bucco Territory podcast, who we've had you on before in the past about the Pirates, and I got to say, I'm being honest with you. I feel like this is an exciting time to be a Pirates fan here.
Yeah, I mean, A, the bar's been pretty low over the last 3 decades, but B, yes, it is an exciting time. They made some good offseason additions, and obviously this Connor Griffin kid is easy to get excited about as well. And I'll say this, recently, Pirates rookies have played pretty well in their first trip to Wrigley Field, so I'm curious to see what he looks like this weekend in the Windy City.
Well, not only that, you guys got a new City Connect jersey, and here's the thing about the City Connects. I feel like they're either completely awesome or totally bust, and there's like no in between. But I like the Pirate City Connect. I was like, all right, if I was a Buccos fan, I'd be getting that.
See, I just talked about this on my own show. I don't like them. And I'm someone, no, and I feel bad saying this because I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't like them. And this might sound biased because I'm from Pittsburgh, but I feel like the Pirates have solid uniforms. Black and yellow is just a good color scheme. It's hard to really mess that up. And if you look through, they're not the best in baseball, but they're, I think, always top 10. I like all their alternates. This is the first Pirate uniform that I can remember seeing and being like, I don't like it. But I'm definitely in the minority. I know there was, I had a friend driving through downtown today, and there was a line 20 minutes long around the corner at the team store waiting for people waiting to get the new merch. So they are very popular, just not in my opinion, apparently.
Yeah, but they're black and yellow, right?
Yeah, but I just don't like the font here. I don't know. It just looks too Pirates of the Caribbean. The Pirates uniforms are too piratey. This sounds like a me problem the more I keep talking about it. So I guess I am wrong.
No, I just asking. And hey, I think we can both agree that it's way better than what the Brewers got.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah. So
it doesn't take much to beat Wisco.
Yeah.
Or whatever the heck that was. That was absolutely, that was brutal. But, we talked a little bit last time you were on before the season started. We talked about the tough start last year and Don Kelly being named the manager. You were in Florida watching him, and now you've seen him the first few weeks of the season. What impact do you think he's been able to make in the clubhouse and on the players?
Culture. Last year at this time, this team was playing tense. They were playing for a manager who knew he was on the hot seat. And anytime that's the case, every error is amplified. Every strikeout is amplified. You need guys to be loose, especially in April, man. If you're tense and worried about performance 1 week into the season, there's not a lot of confidence in the room. There's a lot of confidence here. I think part of that comes with the offseason additions. It also comes with the leadership at the top. And Don Kelly has done a really good job of connecting with the young players, the old players, and letting leadership develop organically, not thrusting leadership expectations upon a certain individual or a handful of guys who should be leaders, but rather let the guys be with each other and develop an organic bond. And that's what you have here. And that's kind of what's been missing in Pittsburgh for a while.
Well, I was telling my podcast partner, I said, look, man, last year the Cubs were 10-3 against the Pirates. The Brewers were 10-3 against the Pirates. It was like, oh, we're playing the Pirates. Is Paul Skeens pitching? And the Cubs have a good record against Paul Skeens, actually. But, when I look at it, it was like, okay, time to feast. Let's get some W's. Let's rack them up. The Brewers and the Cubs were 20-6 versus the Pirates last year. And I just got a feeling that all these years, I just felt like I remember watching that wild card game in 2015, Jake Arrieta, Kyle Schwarber hits one in the Allegheny. Yep. And from that moment, it was like the soul of the Pirates was crushed, and they've just been the doormats for and I don't feel that's the case right now. You talked about some of the offseason moves. Who are some of the guys right now that have so far made the biggest impact on this young season?
I mean, Ryan O'Hearn has been a great addition to this team. He had, in his first 8 games, he drove 11 runs in. That's the first time a newcomer has done that for the Pirates since Reggie Sanders back in 2003. How about that name, right? I feel like he played for every team in Major League Baseball back in the day. But Ryan O'Hearn's been great. Brandon Lau had a really strong first week. He's kind of cooled off a little bit. O'Neal Cruz. I mean, everyone thinks this guy stinks because the highlights of him playing center field are very ugly. I get it. But for as bad as he's been defensively, he's been awesome offensively. He's driving the ball hard. He's hitting home runs. He's causing havoc on the base paths. So they're top of the lineup, solid. Connor Griffin is obviously a guy that I'm sure we're going to talk about a lot in this show. He's provided a big defensive boost with him being at shortstop. They really could use a solid glove on the left side of the infield. He's given him that. So yeah, those are the guys that are really leading the charge right now. But they're getting a lot offensively from most of the team. It's defense and it's spotty bullpen pitching that's been their only real Achilles heel so far.
So you were talking again with Connor Griffin. I mean, I remember you talking about him when we talked about it in spring training, and I think you thought he was going to break camp with the team.
Yeah,
he doesn't, and then all of a sudden they call him back. Less than a week of the season, and we're calling him back. Okay, I know I'm sometimes get a little bit conspiracy theory. Was that just for opening day? I mean, like, because they called him up for the home opener and Skeens wasn't starting with. Was that what this was all about? Because you told me, you're like, this kid's going to break. He's like one of the best players already on the team. Like, there's no way. And it just, I know obviously it's different times with the Chris Bryant service time manipulation, but it was really weird.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you look at his spring numbers, he hit under 200, but he also led the team in home runs. He wasn't called up for his offense regardless. It's just they don't have anyone who can play shortstop. I mean, they moved Triolo over to short. Triolo's a third baseman. I mean, he's a utility Gold Glove winner. But he's like a third baseman and a second baseman, really. He's fine at shortstop, but Connor Griffin's their best option at shortstop. So I think there's a lot going on. There was a lot going on in his head during spring. I mean, that's when they were working out the contract extension. There's just a million eyeballs on him because he's such a big prospect and he's only 19. So I don't hate, I guess, the logic of it. Give him a week in Indy. Just let him get away from it. Oh, making your major league debut at 19 years old with his type of profile as a prospect in New York City, because that's where they opened, that probably wouldn't have been a fair thing to spring upon him, especially considering how that game went, right, with Paul Skeens only going 2/3 of an inning. So they sent him down to Indianapolis for a week. He hit the heck out of the baseball, and they called him up, and he's made this team better. So I don't think there's any conspiracy behind it. I mean, I think it could maybe be argued if the contract extension got settled in spring training, he probably does break camp with the team, but I don't think it was strictly because of the contract. I don't think it was strictly because of performance either. I think they just said, hey, this kid needs a breath because he just spent all of spring busting his tail trying to make the major leagues as a 19-year-old. He's good enough to get here, but let him go to Indianapolis for a week, clear his mind, and he'll be ready for the home opener. So it all worked out well. And yeah, he's here now.
Tell us about that contract. I mean, that is one heck of a payday for at 19 years old. I mean, that is just, and I feel good for Pirates fans because, like, I feel like this whole Paul Skeens thing, it's almost like you're not even able to enjoy it because it's like Skeens watch. Like, when is he going to leave us? Like, this is a big bet. And I know the Brewers did this with Jackson Chourio, and this may be stuff that Cubs did it with PCA now. You know what I mean? A little bit later, but than the other two guys. But especially for small market teams, locking these guys up, it's. If it pays off, it's just a huge, everyone wins on this one.
For sure. I mean, this is a guy where I wrote a column about this yesterday. Growing up in Pittsburgh, one of the worst gifts you could get as a kid was a Pirates jersey. because no matter who it was, you knew that guy's probably not going to be here in a couple of years. And in my closet growing up, it was Jason Bage, Brian Giles, Jason Kendall. I mean, all of these guys, they were here, they were all-stars, and they were gone. And that's just the harsh reality for a lot of small market teams right now. Very rarely do you see a one ball cap player anymore, regardless of market size, but especially in a town like Pittsburgh. And so for the Pirates, and I don't know if Connor Griffin's going to be here forever. We also don't know how good he's going to be. But for the prowess connected to this kid, the potential that seems to exist with a 19-year-old who's already in the major leagues, who's the consensus top prospect in baseball, who has 5-tool potential, for him to sign up for a record-breaking deal. I mean, it was more guaranteed money than Roman Anthony. It's the highest paying contract in franchise history. And you get him from age 19 to age 28. That's a win-win for everyone. You're getting Connor Griffin for pretty much all of his 20s. It's a centerpiece that having someone like that on your roster, people in free agency are going to want to come to Pittsburgh now, or at least more than they did prior to this. Guys, other young arms, maybe not Paul Skeens, but other young players, guys like Bubba Chandler, Braxton Ashcraft, they might be more incentivized to sign an extension now. And it's just better for everyone. And Connor Griffin, too, he's going to hit free agency at 28 years old and still have a chance to get a huge payday. So it's going to work out for everyone, I think. I'm really happy for the fans. The deal, I think, is a fair deal. 9 years, $140 guaranteed. It has another $10 million in escalators and a $12 million signing bonus. So it doesn't have as much guaranteed money as Roman Anthony's, but it shouldn't, because he hasn't been in the major leagues as long. He's a little younger. It's a little bit more of a risk. But $140 million guaranteed, especially from this ownership group. I mean, they've never given that to anyone. And think of the players that they've let leave here. Garrett Cole, Andrew McCutchen in his prime, Starling Marte was still a really solid player that they let go. I mean, guys they traded away, guys that they let leave in free agency. They're not letting this happen here. They waited too long, and the window's kind of passed with Skeens. It's not happening with Connor Griffin, and props to the Pirates for not allowing it to.
Well, taking a look at the start of the season, like you mentioned before, Pittsburgh lost the opening series to the Mets, but then they beat the Reds, who also look much improved, and the Orioles before dropping 2 or 3 of the Padres. What have you kind of taken away from these first 4 series that the Pirates have played, and what have you noticed?
Yeah, when they're on, they're really on. Like they look really good, but their bat is also very, very bad. There's some flaws here to this team. I think they hit well once they get the starting pitcher out of the ball game. And I think as a team, they do a decent job at extending at bats and not allowing pitchers to go deep into ball games. Like they typically chase a starter. And I know it's April. Everyone's trying to get out of the game early right now. But they do a good job of getting to the bullpen by like the 6th inning. And they've had success against back-end arms, even high-leverage arms, to be able to tack on and turn a 2-run game into a 5-run game or a 6-run game. So the offense is solid, I think. Defensively, there's some ugly spots. They really have a hole defensively at third base. They don't really have a true third baseman. They have some guys that are hitting well, but no one who really has that as a true position. Their outfield defense is just abysmal. I mean, their best outfield defender every day is Ryan O'Hearn, who entered this season having never started more than like 35 games in the outfield in a season. So, I mean, O'Neal Cruz and Brian Reynolds, they're just bad defenders. Jake Mangum's a solid defender, and they're trying to find ways to get him into the lineup more because he's also been productive offensively. But yeah, that's like kind of the story of this team. When it's hot, it's hot. When it's cold, it's cold. Marcell Ozuna is really the only guy that's not hitting right now. And that pisses off Pirates fans because a lot of them wanted Andrew McCutchen to be the DH instead of Ozuna. And as far as pitching goes, I mean, the starting rotation is really good. Their worst ERA in the rotation right now is Paul Skeens. So when Paul Skeens is your worst statistical pitcher, you're doing pretty well. The back end of their bullpen is really solid. If you can get a game into the 7th inning, with the lead, the Pirates are probably going to win. With Santana, Soto, and Matson, they have a really good 1-2-3 punch there. But their middle relief is the big weakness right now. They have like 3 or 4 guys who are at best inconsistent, and a couple of them have just been flat out bad. So I don't know what they're going to do with that. They have had to use the bullpen a lot this season. They've had a couple of extra inning games. Obviously, Skeens on opening day only went 2/3 of an inning. And no Pirates starter has thrown over 90 pitches this season in a game yet. So they've been quick to go to the bullpen, and I think it's showing a little signs of early fatigue. And if the Cubs are able to get to the right matchups, they could capitalize. But if the game goes the way the Pirates want, which is getting a lead with the starter on the mound and then getting it to like the 6th or 7th inning to where they can use their leverage arms, they're a very tough team to beat right now.
Okay, I can just tell you, as far as the Cubs are concerned, it's been the first 3 series, right? They've alternated. They've won a series, lost a series. They've lost a series, won a series, lost a series, won a series. It was kind of every other. But the issue is that playing in Chicago in March is not ideal. Okay.
No.
And we've had some games that were 35, 40 degrees with the wind blowing in. And that's how it was when they went to Cleveland. And so the offense collectively started off really bad. Add to the fact that Seiya Suzuki, one of their best hitters, was out of the lineup, and just a recipe for a disaster. So the offense has looked really bad. Then they go into Tampa, climate controlled, 70 degrees, and all of a sudden the bats start waking up. And so, that's the question, is coming back to Chicago now. Can they, because that's Wrigley. Wrigley plays 2 different ways. It plays sometimes like a bandbox, and other times you just, 1 or 2 runs is all you're going to score. You have to be able to adjust to that. And so that's the question, is can they do that? And so, as far as the Cubs are concerned, they got a couple of hitters that just started heating up. Nico Horner is on another level. He just got his extension. He is absolutely crushing it. As far as runners in scoring position, there's no one you want up more than Nico Horner. Michael Conforto had an awful first week, and then he's turned it around because Seiya's coming off the IL, and everyone was like, okay, Conforto, enjoy wherever you're going, not here. Now it looks like he's staying. And, Carson Kelly gives you some good at bats. You mentioned Ryan O'Hearn. It looks like Nick York's hitting pretty well too.
Yeah, he's been, he was probably their second to last guy to make the team, like 25th man on the roster, I would say. And he's been a guy that they don't have a real position for him. Former 1st round pick from the Boston Red Sox. They got him in the Quinn Priester trade, which did not age well as of now anyway. But yeah, he's hit the ball well. He had a walk-off double against the Orioles last weekend. He's probably, I would say he's like co-starting third baseman. Nick Gonzalez is probably the 1A because he's hitting the ball well too. But Nick York's been a pleasant surprise at the plate, and that's how he's gonna find a spot in the lineup if he ever does. I mean, he's a guy, he's played first base, second base, third base, and corner outfield spots all in the minor leagues. I wouldn't say he's like an amazing defender at any of those spots, but if he hits, he's serviceable. So, he's still super young. I would expect him to probably get at least 1 start at Wrigley, if not 2, depending on the matchups and metrically, if he could get an advantage, I guess, based off of some analytical stuff. But overall, yeah, he's had a really solid start.
Now, as far as the guys that are struggling for the Cubs right now, Dansby Swanson, 3 for his last 23, but he doesn't have a home run and 2 RBIs. But Michael Busch, who, Cub fans were really kind of, thinking he was going to take that next step after last season. He played really well, over 30 home runs, killed it in the playoffs. He has started off bad right now. He is 0 for his last 22. So, we don't know what's going to get him going. And then you mentioned, as far as on the Pirates are concerned, Marcell Ozuna is 2 for his last 31. So, that is just brutal. And Connor Griffin, we're going to give him a little bit of a leash, right? Being a young kid and up there.
And you look at Connor Griffin at the very least. He's hit the ball hard a lot. Some of his outs have been with high exit velocities. A lot of his bats have seen a lot of pitches. And again, this kid wasn't called up to be an offensive contributor. He's going to provide value. He's already positive in defensive runs saved on the season. He's going to be one of the better defensive shortstops in baseball this season. So that's kind of why he's up here. The bat's going to be the final piece to his development, where you see other guys like Soto, when he was called up at 19, it's kind of the opposite, right? The bat's ready. Please don't hit the ball to him. So you look at him, that's not necessarily a worry because at least he's providing something. But Ozuna's tough, man, because not only does he hurt you in the lineup when he's not hitting, he's a middle of the order bat. Guys are getting on base and he's striking out, leaving guys on, sometimes hitting into double plays. But with him in the lineup, they're a worse team defensively. They're a better team defensively when you have Jake Mangum out there in the outfield, because you just have guys playing out of position defensively. If not, like Brian Reynolds is probably a DH right now. O'Neal Cruz, I don't know where the heck you play him, but center field isn't working out very well. And then even over at third, like I said, like they have one true third baseman and he's on the IL right now with Triolo. So you already have enough defensive inconveniences, I'll put it as is. And when you have Ozuna anchoring that DH spot, you need him to produce. You're willing to take lesser defense if you can get 30 home run pop out of the DH spot. But if he's not going to perform at all, they might be better off having Cruz or Reynolds at DH and then having a Mangum out there in the outfield, because it makes you an overall better team. And it's hard not to, it's hard to give up on him this early. Obviously, it's only been a couple weeks. Ozuna's track record shows like he deserves a little bit more runway. But when the guys on the bench, like you pointed out, Nick York is a bench player. He's killing the ball right now. Jake Mangum has been a very productive player, both in the field, on the bases, and at the plate. Like when your bench guys are playing better, both in the field and hitting at the plate, than your everyday DH, it's hard to keep trotting them out there. So, I think maybe getting out of Pittsburgh might help him out a little bit. He's been the victim of some boo birds recently. So maybe head over to Wrigley Field and see if he can take advantage of a windy day and get himself going.
Well, taking a look here, I'm looking at the numbers, and we always take a look at what we call the tail of the tape. And as far as the tail of the tape is concerned on this is interesting here. When it comes to batting average, the Pirates are 9th in baseball over the last 2 weeks, 247. The Cubs are 21st at 223. Now, this really surprised me. When it comes to slug, the Pirates actually have the advantage. They're 8th at 383, while the Cubs are 12th, 368. Now, I don't know if that's going to hold up, but like I said, the wind has been blowing in and knocking some home runs down. Cubs have had really bad luck with hard hit balls and stuff like that. But I think you mentioned this a little bit earlier, especially when you were talking about Marcell Ozuna. When it comes to runners in scoring position, the Cubs are at 286. The Pirates are 25th at 216. So,
and a lot of that is actually from their first series of the season. In New York, their first 3 games, I think it was their first 4 games. I think they started the year like 6 for 45 with runners in scoring position. So that percentage is worse than whatever you just said. So they've been better, but they started the year horribly with runners in scoring position. I think they left 17 men on base in one of their first games of the year, and it was ugly.
And when starting pitcher ERA, the Cubs actually have the advantage. They're third at 272, and the Pirates are 5th at 287. So very, very close. Obviously, the Cubs lost Cade Horton and Matthew Boyd on the IL. So that depth is going to be tested. And then when you talk about bullpen, the Cubs get advantage, but it's not that great. We're at 135 whip. It's 16th, and the Pirates are 139, 19th. So very similar bullpens, similar to what you're talking about. I feel like the Cubs don't have like who's going where. You said the back end of the Pirates rotation looks good. The Cubs have a lot of guys. It just hasn't really kind of slotted. No one seems to kind of be taking any positions. We know who the 9th guy is. How we get to the 9th, how we get to Daniel Palencia, that's the question.
Yeah, for the Pirates, it's honestly a staff-wide issue is walks, and their walks per 9 isn't the best. They just got a couple of guys who are kind of bringing the whole unit down. Like their starting rotation still hasn't allowed a home run at this point in the season, which is pretty impressive. But the staff as a whole, they're walking guys a little bit too much, and their middle relief is a concern.
All right, game 1, Friday, 1:20. And for those that don't know, the greatest time to ever catch a Cubs game is Friday, 1:20. You got Carmen Mlodzinski versus Shota Imanaga. Tell us a little bit about Carmen Mlodzinski so far this season.
Carmen Mlodzinski is typically a long reliever, honestly. He's probably the answer to this team's problems and will slot back into the bullpen whenever Jared Jones is healthy. I don't anticipate him being here till mid-June. But he's a guy that looks really good the first time through the order. And then the second time through the order, you're reminded as to why he's typically a relief pitcher. Now, to his credit, he's been better this year. He's stretched out a little bit further. He's got a lot of really good swing and miss stuff. But when he pitches, you're going to depend on the bullpen a little bit more. And candidly, it doesn't really matter because Imanaga absolutely owns the Pirates. So that Friday matchup is looking very favorable for the home team.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you is that, showed up for the first all the way until August last year. So his first year in however many months, 5 months, he looked just phenomenal. And then right around mid-July into later, the home run issue became a problem. He didn't have a home run issue last time against Cleveland. He gave up a 3-run homer to Joey Weimer in the third game of the season, where Weimer just went on a tear. It's just one of those things that the guy was looked like a beach ball to him out there. So I agree. I think that the Cubs, look like they're going to take game one. He does have good numbers against them. Joey Bart's 3 for 7, but they're all singles. So that'll be interesting. Now, I'm going to be at the game Saturday, 1:20, Ben Zobrist bobblehead day. He's throwing out the first pitch, a little 2016, going back down memory lane here, but it's going to be interesting. Braxton Ashcroft versus Edward Cabrera. This one, I think, is going to be a battle of the bullpen. I think that we're going to get great starting here pitching, and I think that they're going to come away with no decisions, both guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked by that. I mean, Braxton Ashcroft is nasty. He's probably, everyone talks about the Pirates pitching. They focus on Skeens and Keller and Chandler and Jared Jones. Like Ashcraft kind of got lost in the shuffle. This is a former top 100 prospect. He was injured a lot throughout his minor league development, which kind of allowed him to lay under the radar. But he's fully healthy now and he is just really good, dude. Like, his slider is disgusting. He's really improved his curveball. His fastball velocity is awesome. He's someone they're going to monitor his workload. So like all year long. So I don't know if we're ever going to see this guy being someone who's like going to pitch 7 to 8 innings into a game. They're probably going to have him going no deeper than like 5 or 6 on Saturday. But when he's out there, man, he's really tough to hit. So enjoy watching him. He can put on a show.
Yeah, and he's going up against Edward Cabrera. He hasn't given up a run in 2 starts, so he pitched 6 scoreless in his first start at Wrigley. I was at that one. And then in Cleveland, he went 5 2/3, and he only gave up 1 hit. The main thing, obviously, with Edward, and you know this from his time in Miami, is just like, can he limit the walks?
Yep.
That's the big thing. So in his first start, he gave up 1 hit, 1 walk, 5 Ks. He'll take that any day. But then his second start, he gave up 1 hit, but he walked 5 and struck out 4. So, you're going to get your pitch count racked up and stuff like that. You get guys on base, and then that's where he runs into trouble. But I think that is going to be a fun pitching matchup. And then Sunday, 1:20, former Pirates prospect Jamison Tyone takes on new Pirates prospect Bubba Chandler. Tell us about Big Bubba.
Have you ever seen the movie Bull Durham?
Yes.
He is Nuke. That's who this kid is. He is. He's got insane stuff. Half the time he has no idea where the hell it's going. But it is nasty. If you look at his box scores, it's a lot of strikeouts. It's a lot of walks. It's not a lot of hits. And sometimes it's not a lot of innings. But, this is going to be a very elite starting pitcher. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. I think you're going to have some rookie struggles. This is going to be the Robin to Paul Skeens' Batman. He's legit talent. The fastball is insane. And there's going to be times when he's at his best, sometimes he'll just throw nothing but fastballs for like 3 straight innings. And until a team can time it, he won't go away from it. I think his next step in development is getting more confidence with that secondary stuff, especially there are certain ballparks and there are certain teams where you can't just live or die with your 100-mile-per-hour fastball, but he's one of the hardest throwers in baseball right now. He's also an incredible personality. He was drafted as a 2-way player. He played shortstop and pitched at the rookie ball level out of high school. He was also a 4-star commit to Clemson as a quarterback. So he's a freak athlete. He's probably going to be a Gold Glove winner one day as a pitcher. So he's a lot of fun to watch, but it's chaos when he's out there on the mound. It's going to be really good or it's going to be really bad. But while you're watching, you can't look away. It's very entertaining baseball when Bubba Chandler takes the hill.
So game 1, Carmen Majinski versus Shodi Managa. Game 2, Braxton Ashcroft versus Edward Cabrera. Game 3, Bubba Chandler versus Jameson Tyone. Tyone's probably, going to be put out to pasture at some point in time. It just, he's given up a lot of home runs. I mean, Arizona, I've never seen anything like it. The amount of home runs he gave up. He gave up 2 in his last start against the Rays. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the weather's doing in Chicago. It looks like it's going to be kind of crummy tomorrow, but then improving Saturday and even nicer on Sunday. How do you see this series playing out? Give me a prediction here.
Yeah, I'll say the Pirates take 2 or 3. I think the Cubs win on Friday. I think Braxton Ashcraft, I think his game is really kind of catered to Wrigley. And I think the Pirates typically hit Tyone well. I mean, they don't have Jack Sawinski, the Tyone whisperer, anymore.
Southside boy.
Yes. But I feel like, I don't know. I really like what I've seen. I know I just kind of said there's a lot of downside to Bubba Chandler as well, at least in the short term. But I like how both of them are throwing the ball right now. So yeah, I think the Pirates win this series.
I'm going to go the Cubs taking 2 out of 3. I'm going with the Cubs winning game 1. I'm going with the Pirates winning game 3. And I'm picking the Cubs to win game 2, but I think it's 2-1, 3-2. I'm bet the under on that game. That's where I'm going.
I see it. I could see that one. Feels like, like these early, a couple years ago, there was that Bailey Falter Shota game that went into like extra innings. I could see Saturday being your classic 11 inning, 2-1 Wrigley game. That I think that might be what's on tap.
But Noah, look what we're talking about. We are both kind of being like, hey man, this is like almost like a coin flip series.
Yeah.
Where over the last, again, 10 years, it was like, okay, are the Cubs taking 2 out of 3? Or are they sweeping? Right. It wasn't even a question. And now it's like, man, like I said, I'm excited for you guys. And I just hope that you lose the series this weekend. But again, for Pirates fans, I feel like they deserve this. So it's going to be it's going to be a fun weekend of baseball, I think.
I think so too. And I'll be jealous that I'm not at Wrigley Field. It's my favorite place in the world. So have a cold one in the bleachers for me.
I will do. And tell our listeners where they can find your work and follow you on the socials.
Yeah, you can follow me on X at _Noah Hiles. My name is spelled just like it is on the screen here. And then you can read all of my work at post-gazette.com and check out my podcast with former Pirates All-Star Josh Harrison. It's called Bucco Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network. You can find that anywhere where you get your podcasts.
It sounds great. And good luck this weekend, my friend.
Absolutely. Same to you.
It's all over.